Okay. That's going. That's going. Oh, I gotta get me.
Ready, John?
Yes, it's going.
Going? Okay. All right. Well, looks like we're geared up, ready to go. So, has the system been working better since they worked on it, John?
Yeah, they've made some improvements there, and they had the vendor come several times actually and work on it. So
Good. That's awesome.
yeah, we haven't had the same problems since.
Well, we welcome all of you to the Iron County Commission meeting this Monday, the 9th day of October, 2023. It's beautiful outside and beautiful time of year. We will begin this morning with an opening prayer by our assessor, Karsten Reed, and then Jeannie Bartholomew will lead us in the pledge.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for this day and thankful to be here to conduct the county's business, and ask you to bless each of us with thy spirit, that we may be able to explain and execute our offices and our duties to the commissioners. Thankful for this great country and for those that protect us and for our Constitution. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I failed to mention Commissioner Blake's running just a touch late. He'll be here in a few minutes. So, had a little emergency. We will.
Approval?
What's up?
Approval?
We'll go ahead and approve minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes. September 19th is the canvass of the election. August 31st was the special meeting we held at the festival hall, right, John?
Yes.
And then that was the long one, right?
Yeah.
And then we had the September 11th, which was our normal commission meeting. So, I'll entertain a motion.
So I will move for approval of the minutes, September 11th, September 19th, and this August 31st.
And I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. And we'll go ahead and I'll entertain a motion to pay the bills for September 25th through the October 8th.
I'd move for approval of claims for payments from September 25th, 2023 to October 8th, 2023.
I'll second that. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. And we'll now go to our departmental reports. We'll start with our assessor, Karsten Reed.
Morning.
Morning.
So we just finished up with our Board of Equalization, but I would just kind of wanted to start with the feedback we got from a lot of people. Obviously a lot of appeals this year. Values had increased in 2022, and then people received that letter in the mail, kind of indicating that their taxes would go up significantly, and so in response to that, were tons of people appealed on the basis that they believed that their taxes were, increasing significantly, and they told us that they, a lot of them in the actual hearing mentioned that they were appealing because of, taxes being out of control or something akin to that or along those lines, but. The other thing we faced was just a lot of criticism regarding values, and I kind of wanted to help just put a little bit of that into perspective. If it's hard to be perfect, and it's really hard to be perfect with limited resources, and that's really what we operate with at a county level. We have 8 assessors in our office, and if you think about what a fee appraiser can do in a year. A fee appraiser can appraise about 400 properties a year. 4 times 8, you're looking at 3,200 appraisals. So if we really focused, we could get 3,200 properties just right. But the problem is there's 50 some odd thousand properties, and we'd need a staff of 10 times what we have to accomplish that. We need to hire 80 appraisers to really pinpoint the value of each property. And of course, that would cost the county millions and millions of dollars. It'd be worse than the jail. I mean,
Yeah.
you want your value just right? Well, we got some bad news for you. Your taxes are gonna, quadruple. And so, the challenge with being right is just our limited resources. We do really the best we can with what we have, which is why people have an appeal right. So people have an appeal right because it's not perfect. And there are lots of outlier situations. But just to kind of help you understand the challenge we face, it's tremendous. What we have to do with 8 people is not an easy task. It's very, very difficult. And it's not always easy to hit the mark just right. So wanted to hit that. We're also in the middle of a legislative audit. So we're dealing with the legislature is auditing randomly 4 counties in the state of Utah. We are one of them, and they're really concerned. The legislature is concerned with this big tax shift that I know you guys went up to Fillmore and kind of listened to the centrally assessed people discuss that tax shift. But there's just a movement that is being foisted on homeowners of just the increase in taxes because of this big shift from commercial, industrial, centrally assessed to homeowners, and it's not equitable, and it's not equitable across the state. And so the response that the legislature has is they've audited 4 specific counties to really try to understand why it isn't equitable. One of their kind of initial recommendations is that we need to have more access to more data. The problem with that is it's really expensive. You join these MLS services, you're talking, big bucks. It's thousands of dollars, and in some cases it's thousands of dollars subscriptions, or thousands of dollars a month. So it's hard to balance the cost with equity, and there's just a real challenge I think we face in a smaller county where we just don't necessarily have the budget to be as equitable, and that's what they're trying to solve at the legislature. One of the things we implemented though was we did subscribe to an additional MLS service to try to help Brian out with achieving some kind of parity. And then the other recommendation was that the State Tax Commission has said the same thing, but we really are going to need to hire a commercial appraiser, another commercial appraiser. For our size county, for the number of commercial properties we have, one commercial assessor is simply not enough. We've got a growing county. Port 15 commercial industrial is really going to explode, and we're already quite challenged with just Brian trying to accomplish that task. And I've said it before, but we will at some point need to hire a commercial appraiser. We've limped along, for 4 years, kind of understaffed, and we've been able to manage, but we and not at the behest of the state, but just for the people of our county, it's probably the best thing to do at some point in the near future is to try to hire a commercial appraiser. The challenge with the commercial appraiser is they don't come cheap. It's the highest level of licensing, the most broad experience, and they're really hard to come by. We might be a little bit benefited by the current economy, but the problem is that commercial appraisers are actually quite busy right now. Residential appraisers are a little bit slow, but just to get somebody to apply will likely be a challenge with the salary limitation that we have. So just wanted to, bring that to light, kind of let you know what's going on, and yeah. So do you have any questions for me?
Good work. It's been a rough.
Straightforward. Yeah, we
Rough
got beat
go.
up here. Good. Yeah, so
We appreciate what you guys
Hang
do.
in there.
It's good.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Karsten.
We appreciate you guys hanging in there.
yep. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, fair. Susan.
Well, let's see. I was trying to think. When was the last time I was up here? I think it was July. So we finished up with our ranch rodeo. I think I started saying that we did a series of 3. We started June, July, and then August, of course, with the fair, or September. And it was successful. I think because it was so new, I don't think everybody who was part of Ranch Rodeo knew that we were really trying to push them to get signed up online. So we would have a better idea of how many attendees we had. What we found out was people just show up, So it was great, and it turned out
Well,
okay.
ranch rodeo
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
They're a bunch of
it happens, and it
cowboys,
happens.
and they have a good time, but
Right,
they're not
right.
going to
And,
sign up.
and it was great. They came in, they paid their fee, and we went forward, and they had a great time. So it always turns out nice, the Ranch Rodeo does. We did our Miss Iron County August 12th. We had to move it to the afternoon because of our mud bog, which was that evening. And of course, with the mud bog, we moved it out of the arena. We moved it east. It was a downpour, so it added to the mud. And it actually turned out really fun. We learned a great deal after moving it out that way, that we needed to build the people up so the people could see, and they weren't trying to see above our concrete barriers, and stuff. We needed to build them up with it. And so we came up with a few solutions, so maybe down the road we'll have that as well. And the gals were great. They came out to the mud bog. They did it that afternoon, was crowned, and here they came, and they were running in the mud bog, and so it was neat to watch. We only charged $8 a person because we did move it outside the arena. They did get rained on, and Mother Nature had her say. But we still came out a little bit ahead of what we've done in the past. We did the Demolition Derby on August 19th. This was done by a local here in Cedar City, Logan Schmidt. This was a sold-out event. It was an awesome event. He kept it going. I think he's found some key ways to making it run smoothly, and Logan was on top of it. So on the August 26th, we did the monster trucks. This was a new event. We were a little short on that one, but not enough to notice that, it was an event. We brought it in, trying to make it a part of what's historically done here with the fair. They do these lead-up events, and we've just filled in with monster truck, and it was a pretty awesome event as well.
It was fun. My grandsons loved it.
You attended that one. And then August 31st was our little buckaroo, and they separated it differently, and I heard nothing but accolades about it. They said that was great, the way they did our mutton busting, the way they did the tying, the untying of the goat, everything. They thought because they had different things kind of going in the small arena, the big arena, and they'd split the arenas doing different things at different times, people were able, grandparents were able to, parents were able to, and they were able to attend and do things, differently, and so they were thrilled. And then Mother Nature hit us that night, and she again had her say. I've never had a rodeo cancel, but we had to cancel. We had soup, We had a lake, whatever you want to call it, but our big arena that we count on for our first PRCA rodeo had to be canceled. So we made a decision and we moved it to Sunday. Our big worry, my big worry, was will we have cowboys that late? You know, hoping that we would have somebody in the area. We had some big names that were coming in on Fridays. Those big names couldn't come, but we still had big names. We had big names that other rodeos didn't have. And so we were excited with that. Saturday was a sellout. I mean, it was huge. It was massive in size. And Sunday was low, of course. We figured Sunday would be a little bit, but still it went off. We had a really nice Sunday program. We had one of the Bonners here, and he did an awesome job. And, you know, we couldn't have asked for a better Sunday. Monday came along. Here came the parade, the car show, our afternoon PRCA rodeo to cap it off, and it was the same numbers. So all in all, I think if we could have had our Friday, I think we would have been ahead of last year. But we didn't. So we're about the same as last year, so not too bad, actually. And the last thing that we worked towards was our OHV. We had that September 27th through the 30th. This was our first one. It was held, well, registration was held at the fair building at the fairgrounds. A lot of these rides were everywhere else. They did 5 different rides, 3 different days, everywhere, somewhere in the county. My suggestion to them at one of the OHV Club's meetings was, let's just do 5. Let's make it the same 5. And let's just let them pick, but let's launch it from here, from the fairgrounds. Because even I heard from some of the people that were there, they would have liked to have launched from the fairgrounds rather than, you know, they drove down the road somewhere and they met them somewhere on the road or on the side of the road and then trailered out and stuff. I mean, you can still trailer from us, but there's a lot to see from our area up here. So, you know, something to think about for, you know, the other years to come. We came out ahead. We started with nothing. We didn't, you know, we weren't sure. And you, as a commission, you know, made a decision. And so we got $2,000 from tourism, and that was meant just for advertising cost. And I had to make some hard decisions, like, you know, even though the group kept coming to me wanting more things, like, let's do breakfast for them every morning, let's do this, let's do that. I didn't have the money. So I chose to do a dinner. And we had Al Garcia come in, and he made a wonderful dinner for us the last night. And we had a great raffle. We did put $2,000 from the monies we charged each participant towards that raffle. And D&P came in a big way and helped us to understand the organization of how the back, you know, the back of house works with these rallies and stuff. And they were very instrumental in helping us with that. It was great. I don't think I came away with a few suggestions from a few people on that, but I think overall it was great. It ran really well. We had a lot of firsts this year with the fair, everything, you know. Had a new vendor person setting it up. We had a new custodial company, you know, because as things change, you know, people step back, and so we had to find other things to make it happen. We had a new person in the work crew, but, you know, John did his very best. He stepped right up. He was there. It was great. Overall, we shifted some things around but we kept everything really basically the same as we could, because this is what people come accustomed to. So we kept things, you know, very similar. We had to change some things up, but this is what we had. Any questions?
I thought it was awesome.
It was a great event.
We attended
It's really good.
most of the events. Couldn't go to the OHV ride, but like I say, we really enjoyed the fair this year. It was awesome.
Thank you.
So as far as I mean, funding wise, so we were behind a little bit, but how bad? I mean, how?
We're still figuring out those numbers.
okay.
I think
Maybe
when we
we can
come
have a report on
to,
that.
yeah, when we come to say this is what we're thinking and stuff, I adjusted it with, your guys's, we've been asked to
Right.
try and adjust. We are an event center. That's hard to adjust, I have to admit. But I did some tweaking. I don't know that I reached that 5% goal, but one thing that we were looking at, and I'm going to put it on my ask, I have several asks, we are in need of panels for the fairgrounds, and I'm going to put that in there. We desperately need a few more picnic tables, things like that. I have some wants, and I'm going to keep the wants off, obviously. I'm just going to put the needs down. I'm going to put down what I think is absolutely essentially of what we need there for this year, and I'm trying really hard to keep that in check. But I'm hoping by that time when we meet with you, we'll have an idea better. As each year comes, you lose some sponsorships, but you gain some sponsorships. And I think we were more on the gain side, and that even though we had lost a few, and that's fine. That's a person's prerogative, it's business, they can only do so much, and we understood that and stuff. So, again, I think we'll have better numbers when we come together and talk budget.
Okay.
So,
Very good.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Appreciate it. See, I don't see our recorder here. Is she,
Carrie.
Carrie, is she? Anyway,
You
let's
know
go.
what? I think she.
IT's next, but I just was going to ask about it.
I think she told me she wasn't going to be here. I'm vaguely remembering
Oh, okay.
that.
Very good.
It was last week, so ancient history.
Yeah. Jared, you're next. Go ahead. But I just was going to, I saw she was next after Jared, and I was going to ask if she was here.
Yeah, no worries at all. Thanks for having me here. I don't have anything prepared for you, so hopefully you got some questions, and I'll just kind of give you a quick rundown of what's taken place the last 3 months. We've had some budgetary issues that you guys are aware of, where we've had a fingerprint machine that died, so we had to purchase that.
What kind of machine?
The fingerprint machine
Oh, okay.
at the jail, it just totally kapoop. So we had to purchase a new one there. So
How old is it?
it was 4 years old. We actually
That's
expected
all?
it to go another year. They usually have a 5-year lifespan.
Is that all?
Yeah, but
Wow.
this one was a weird one too because it actually exceeded its lifespan. So we couldn't find parts for it or anything else. So
Oh,
it was
wow.
really strange. So I'm wondering if we got on the tail end of a model and we bought it 4 years ago when they knew it was going to be end
They're
of
pretty
life.
pricey, aren't they?
Yeah, it was weird. So
Why only a 4 or 5 year lifespan on something like that?
most of the equipment now is going that direction. So like servers, we're getting ready to purchase new servers, but they recommend servers every 3 to 5 years now. It used to be 5 to 7. So desktop computers are still maintaining kind of that same lifespan, 3 to 5 years, which is what we've expected. But yeah, most copiers, fingerprint machines, they don't last. There's a few. Nicole, remember this one? We had a line printer that was down in between her and the assessor's office way back in the old days. You remember that thing? We had that thing for what, 25 years? Just went and went and went and
Yeah.
went, and now we get the new ones and they die in 5.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's
I had an old HP LaserJet 5 Plus. One of those old. It weighed as much as a tank.
yeah.
But that thing lasted me like 25 years. It just kept going.
Washers and dryers and all that appliances don't last long anymore. I think they want us to replace them.
I think it's part of the marketing.
It is
Get us going on that. So
awful.
yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
really was, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it didn't take a whole lot either. You had to learn a little bit about it, and then it was like, oh, this is fairly simple. So
Wow.
yeah, so we had that. We've what is the other? Oh, we had the battery backup issue where we lost the battery backup at the jail as well. So we purchased there. So budget for this year it's like I'm working with Luke right now, and hopefully we won't have to make any budget adjustments based on what we've got going on, but there might be a few just because of those items that went out.
How's the new phone system?
So far so good with it. It's worked really quite well, at least from my end of it. I haven't heard really any negative feedbacks minus headsets. So we're having a hard time with headsets staying connected and going. And we're not getting a recommendation from Ring Central yet as to which is the best. They just say, yeah, these are all compatible, and so we're making it work the best we can on it. But other than that, it's working really good, and it is quite a bit, saving us quite a bit of money, which is always really nice. So
Wade and Fleet, is he going? I mean, I know that you guys purchased some software, but there was one element they thought was included but wasn't. And
correct. So we're still waiting on that. I talked with Wade like 2 weeks ago, and he said that they're still waiting. They're almost into the final stages of writing that last little piece.
Okay.
And then once they do that, they'll implement it. We'll
It
demo
wasn't
it,
something they
test it.
had. They had to create it.
They had to create it. Yeah, it was in the process of being created. So Wade kind of saw kind of the dream of what it was going to be, and kind of moved forward with that. And so we set monies aside for that with your approval. But if it's not going to meet our ends, we've signed the agreement that if it doesn't meet what we need, then we get our money back. So
Okay.
so we're
On
not
the whole
out.
thing, or just that component.
No, the whole thing.
Oh,
Good.
So yeah, if we don't want to go with them, we get it all back. So,
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
but it sounds like the other components are better than the other and cheaper. So we'd probably stay with them and kind of weather the storm, I guess, until they get that new piece written. But he really needs that new piece. It'll help him a lot to track vehicles and all that. So
Okay. Good.
we've implemented a couple new security cameras and then worked on some routers and switches and all that.
We mostly appreciate the one you put in our office.
Yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it?
We appreciate when you come turn it off.
Is it noisy?
No, it's one of the election requirements is to have the area surveilled.
Oh,
But-
So we put one right in the center of the office so it could.
But he has the ability to unplug it when we're not in the middle of elections, which we like.
So
That way I can pick my nose.
that's right. Nobody will see it.
So the camera that you put up at the fairgrounds,
Mhm.
it's on that west side, is that right? Anyway, the south side is what we really need to surveil.
So that was the plan, is we put the ones in right for now, and then
Uh-huh.
we have the plan, well, it's gonna be for next year. We'll see what budgets are able to
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
And so we want to put one in so it shoots south.
Yeah,
and
south
also
was-
north too, because we figured we'd be
Yeah.
getting more out that direction as well.
Yeah.
So the idea is
The
to keep
south was a
expanding.
real big problem,
Yeah.
but if we probably need to see if we can't
And
get
the,
something.
and the security
there.
cameras, they're expensive, but for what they can accomplish, it's not too bad. So, I mean, you're looking at
Yeah.
high-end, $1,500 a camera. And that's high-end. We can
Oh.
usually do it for about half of that. But it depends on the angle and how much of a
Yeah.
zoom and everything else you want. So the coolest one that we just did was for Bruce out at the landfill.
Oh.
The Burl one. And
Yeah.
that thing's got a really high-tech zoom. Like it'll
Can
it'll
you see
capture
the
license plate as it
license
drives
plates
in.
now?
Yeah, so
Oh,
it
good.
identifies the vehicle, identifies the square, zooms right into it. You see the license plate. It's pretty
Well,
cool
that's
camera.
great.
But it
Yeah,
was-
we
it was
because we
pricey.
have been trying to get that done,
Mm.
but
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's done and working really
Yeah.
well, and Bruce has got access
Cool.
to it. So
yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Good deal.
that's about all I have to report. Unless you guys got
Okay.
more questions for me, happy to answer them.
No.
Nope. Good.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
have to say, we've been very grateful. You guys have gone above and beyond with all these extra meetings, and you'll
Yes,
be there
that
again
too.
tonight. And April has been great, and Jager, and Kendall, of course. And anyway, we appreciate you.
Yeah, they actually don't mind it too much either. So April's planning on being there again tonight, and then
Okay.
maybe Gabe. Gabe was kind of a questionable. We want
Okay.
trying to get him trained on it as well, and,
Okay.
Oh,
and
good.
going. So yeah, we're
And
looking
I've
forward to
I've
it.
got that condenser mic. I'm going to see about trying to get piped into the actual, in-house audio, because the audio was a problem last time until we got the condenser mic hooked up, and even then it was quite quiet.
Yeah.
So, but it's a big. The irony is for a theater that does productions, the sound is terrible, and so all the sound goes up the stage, and it's hard to hear, and it's even worse when people are just sitting there talking.
It
So-
makes it difficult, and then
Yeah.
trying to tie into a live feed and all that becomes a challenge as well. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things. To
So
it.
I'm going to go early. I don't know if April's able to, but I'd like to try and work with the guy at the theater whose name I can never remember.
Jason.
Jason, thank you. Sorry, Jason. And see if we can possibly get that worked out. He might even have a pedestal right there where they put their camera that somehow could tie in. I don't know.
We're
Anyway,
just doing it in the big room, right?
we're going to do it at the Heritage Theater in the actual theater tonight.
Oh, we're doing the theater again.
Mm-hmm.
What time do
Do
you
you think
plan
we'll
on
have
being
that as big of a turnout? I
No.
So I had two different
just
times.
I couldn't
The
hear
it.
6 and 7.
It's at 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a hard time hearing.
So did everyone else. And that was,
I wonder if we had to just have it in the big room, or do you think that?
well, we've already advertised for the one, but we could
Okay,
point them
well.
to the other. It's a fair point.
I just
Part of the problem, we have to work with the attorney, and I had to make notice like 7 different ways. And
fine. Let's just leave it.
yeah.
Move it.
And then the one didn't agree with the other.
Yeah.
When that original one, they put so many things on there that I didn't realize that we weren't consistent with what they had put on their original resolution. Anyway, so we got that corrected. But even then, I mean, you know, I've had Rob Cottle ask me, was it at 6 or at 7? I'm like, it's at 7. So anyway, we appreciate
what time
you
do
guys.
plan on being there? I can see if I can get.
I will be there no later than 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll see if she can make it at 6. I'll do
Okay.
what she can,
Or
but
whenever. I mean,
we'll figure it out.
okay.
Hey.
They're pretty sharp people. We could get it quick, I think.
Yep.
Okay.
Good. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Jared.
Welcome, Commissioner Blake.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. You signed those.
I did.
You were the
Yes, I signed.
pro tem on that one, so thank you. Where we at? Recorder. No recorder. Carrie, you said she's out of town, so treasurer. You could do it. You could be a treasure,
Happy
recorder.
to be stuck with you.
You could be a recorder pro tem.
Y'all are busy. Every time Bree
Thanks.
presents more subdivisions, that makes Carrie even busier.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I know, I just always have all my lovely money reporting to give you, so. The first one is just our product sales, just shows how much we've collected to date, so just over 16 million. Of course, we're approaching our big time to collect, so in fact, they're probably gonna be processing the tax roll to us today. So we will be gearing up. The second one is just to show you what's been collected that comes only to the county, not to any of our other entities. So we're over 2.6 million, and of course more will be coming. And then our overall cash is on the third paper, showing we're still in really good shape cash-wise, so, which we really like because the interest rate being 5.43 right now is super great with our balances being what they are. Where I think last month we received over 300,000 just in interest, so it's really, really nice. So we're glad to have that. The last time I reported, the interest was at 5.17, so it did go up to 5.7, but this last month it went down to the 5.43. So, and our Morton, they're still investing for us. They're trying to invest more long-term, and the rates are really good long-term. They're over 3% long-term, so that's really good.
Hey, Nicole.
Yeah.
Could you turn that microphone so it faces you?
I know, it's kind of going the wrong way.
There you go.
I could hardly hear Jared,
Arston
too.
was tall, so he had to push it up.
He is tall. Our outstanding is up a little bit. We're at 7,300,000. Last year at this time we were about 6 million, so we are up a little bit on our outstanding. I did say we're going to process the tax roll today, so we're anticipating the notices will go out in the mail the next week to 10 days. So we'll be crazy busy. Our seasonal employees come in just as we kind of wait and see when our mail starts really picking up, and then we have them come in and start helping us. So we've talked a lot about, of course, people being frustrated, and the economy is hard right now. So we've talked to try to be patient and kind and to do our very best, and hope people will be patient and kind to us, realizing we're just trying to do our job and try to do the best that we can for them. So we talked about that a lot last year, and we did. We just tried to be as patient and good as we could. And most of our public is wonderful and treat us really good. We do have a few every year, but we just try to do our best. So my budget, of course, is really good. At this point, all my big expenditures come between now and the end of the year with adding my extra employees, and the cost of the tax notices is really my big budget expense. So, but I anticipate we'll come in under budget, and but we're doing really good. I appreciate my people. They work so hard, and they're not drama queens. They're way easy to get along with. They are good to the public, and I really appreciate all they do. So I don't know if you have any questions for me.
I have to say I appreciate them. Whenever I come in with a Spanish person, they're very patient and help them out. So I've really appreciated that.
No, they're good. I have just good people, so I feel super blessed. But
Very good.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right, Commission. Marilyn, you want to go first?
So my husband and I, since I was in charge of that part of the fair and the jamboree, went on those rides every day, and they were spectacular. We live in a beautiful place, and it was so fun. There was 4 different rides. The one day kind of killed us off because we went on a ride all day, and we got back to the fairgrounds, and then we went on a night ride. But it was so spectacular. We went up second left hand, and then right to the very top, and then back down, and had s'mores down at Yankee Meadow. So that was really fun. And something happened. There were deer down by the lake, and then as the sun was going down, the deer came around us, and they hopped right across the skyline, and they were black. I mean, all you could see was the black deer hopping across. It was spectacular, and none of us got on camera. But it was really fun. On the 3rd, I have a good friend, Lynn Drake, and he's been trying to get me to come out to what's called Henry's Place. It's a home camp for at-risk kids, youth, and a lot of them come up from Vegas, but they've also brought in people from all Enterprise and Enoch and different places. None of them have been in trouble. They're just at-risk kids. There's several criterias. Paul came out with me also, but they have made this beautiful lodge, and the kids come up. It's a beautiful setting. It's up on what's that road? Vandenberg Road, at the top of Vandenberg Road.
Cool, where it makes the bend right there.
Kind of the bend right there up at the top, and right against the mountain there, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And they do a lot of games and different things with these kids, but it's really faith-based also. So I think it really, really, is probably a big thing to these kids in a lot of ways, that they probably come from broken homes and that type of thing. It's really, really a great program, and I was very impressed with the folks that do it, and it was really nice to go see all of their activities. On the 6th, we have a monthly call that the commissioners, it's called USACCC, and it's a monthly call. They talked about school safety. One of the representatives talked about grants that were available through the legislature, that HB 61 was one of them. And we've talked about with the sheriff several times about school safety and different things, and I know we've had some issues, especially out to Canyon View. My grandkids go there, so I get the text messages. One of the other commissioners has from one of the other counties have grandkids that also go there, and she brought that up, that she gets notified quite often. But after the incident that they had last year, they really have honed down, and the parents want to know, and so they alert them if there's anything going on, which I think's valuable to them, because then they know what's going on that way. But I talked to Sheriff Carpenter, and he said that they had applied, that our school district had, Iron County School District had applied for a lot of these grants. Some of the newer schools have, the way that they're built are safer. They have to go to the office. Some of the older schools, it's harder to do that, but they're going to retrofit some of those with these grant monies. So that was interesting. And then I just wanted to remind everybody about the public hearing tonight at 7:00 at the Heritage Theater about the bond for the jail. So that's all I had.
Sure.
So, last week we had the One Utah Summit. It's a yearly conference for business leaders, government leaders. That always takes place at Southern Utah University. Are the ones that host that. It was really successful this year. Had over 1,000 attendees. Talked about, a lot about the local economics. Excuse me. I had the opportunity to present at that summit with the Utah Inland Port Authority. So, just the Inland Port Authority, I think, with our project area with BZI and the railroad transload station, I think that's going to be as big of an economic impact as anything that Iron County's ever seen. In fact, they're already offloading steel. They're already signing contracts with other companies, both for import and for export out of that facility. So had an opportunity. So we were the first project area. There are now 7 other project areas in the state, and by the end of the year, a potential of 9. A big one in Beaver County with geothermal that's really exciting, and another big one in Box Elder County that's going to be really beneficial as well. So I had an opportunity on that. In that presentation, I presented with Commissioner Tammy Pearson from Beaver County, as well as Commissioner Stan Summers from Box Elder County. We also had an opportunity to help lead a tour with Danny Stewart, with Inland Port folks, the governor's office. They always change the names. Now it's the government. It used to be GOED. Now it's GOEO, the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. BZI, Savage Company that also does transload. We had an opportunity to go out and kind of lead a tour of the facility, and we were talking out there a year ago at the One Utah Summit. The Inland Port Board was established after a new board, new leadership. That was 1 year ago at the One Utah Summit. 1 year later, we're actually standing at a transload facility that came.
That's pretty amazing.
That came to be. We're standing among piles of steel and I-beams that are actually the fruit of that project.
That's leadership.
In less than a year.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's leadership.
It is pretty amazing. It's pretty cool to be involved in that. I was asked to be on the interview panel to choose the new Danny. the Economic Development Director for Iron County. So we know Danny Stewart, who's been our long-term Economic Development Coordinator, was poached by the Inland Port Authority. We had an opportunity. We interviewed 4 folks. I think we're going to be in really good hands. I don't know who the choice is going to be, but we interviewed 4 candidates. That took most of the day. They were long, extensive interviews. We as a committee ranked those and turned that information over to Mayor Green, who will make the recommendation to the Cedar City Council. But I'm confident that we're in good hands. I was very happy to see the quality of folks that we had.
Will that be this Wednesday at council meeting?
Could be.
Could be.
Maybe. I don't know I don't know the timeline. They were I would hope so, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what their timeline was. They said they were going to try and make a decision this week. So, I'm a member of the Indigent Defense Fund Board, which basically capital murder cases in the state. Those can be very expensive. So counties, so that they don't have to shoulder the burden of those murder cases where the death penalty is involved. We as a county pay into that Indigent Defense Fund every year. And it's a really good insurance policy. In fact, the number of capital cases that we've had here in Iron County over the last several years would have broken the county financially, if we didn't participate in this program. Long story short, the assessment is going to remain the same. We're in good financial shape with that board, and there's no need to. There was talk about maybe we need to raise that assessment, and
It's not like your insurance when you have a wreck and they jack your
No.
premiums up.
thankfully, no, that's never part of the conversation.
Nice.
When you use it, they don't jack your rates. But that assessment's going to remain the same, so that's good news for us. We held a town hall meeting in Burrell to talk about the jail construction and bond issue. Sheriff Carpenter and I and John, Luke, and Mike Gibbs attended that meeting, and it was I was really proud of that area. We probably had 60 people in attendance ish.
We had 50 grown-ups. There were a few kids.
There were some 50 grown-ups and some kids
Wow.
running around.
50 grown-ups and me.
But no, and it lasted a long time. It lasted a long time, but we had some really great conversations. There were some really great questions asked, and it was really productive. The next night, we held another one in Canaryville town. The same cast of characters attended, John and Luke and Ken and Mike and I. Again, really good conversations. Feel like these meetings are super productive. And we do have a couple moving forward. John's working on scheduling a series of those. We do have
So this week we've got Paraguna on Thursday. And if...
do I know about that one?
What? Oh. No, it's
No.
only been scheduled for a little while. And then we're actually
So I
hoping...
need to still make a phone call on that one, right?
No, Royce
for a
knows.
venue?
Sorry,
Or did-
I talked to Royce already.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And then
House.
7.
You have
For the
room in your
firehouse.
living room, Nicole? You have room in your living room?
There's a bit of a, if you can imagine, Nicole, there's a bit of a funny story that goes along with that with Royce, but we'll tell you later.
There's never a funny story with Royce. And then we're hoping to do Newcastle on Wednesday, and I'm going to try and push. The sheriff had the idea to try and do a few at some of the elementary schools in the evening, and I kind of want to have those later in the month. And I'm hoping to know by the end of the day on whether they'll let us do that. So
This is awesome, Mike. I mean, you guys are so versed in this. You can do all the talking tonight.
And seriously, we've kind of got it down to a science.
Good.
And we've started finishing each other's sentences. And it's
I've gotten obnoxious.
Well, and you got from 3 hours to an hour and a half.
From
for first to
Canaryville
the
officially was about an hour and 10 minutes
Oh,
with questions.
Wow.
That was with questions.
that's awesome.
We have another one. The Presbyterian Community Church has also requested, I can't remember when we scheduled it, but we did schedule a meeting, a town hall meeting with the Presbyterian Community Church. They are going to advertise it in the neighborhood through their thrift store and put it on their calendar of events in the Iron County Today.
And you know, it's interesting to kind of observe the countenance of people, and I don't know. I think between the earnestness and sincerity of the sheriff and Mike's presentation and Luke, I mean, it really you can watch them kind of soften and realize that this is something that has to be, and it really does. I mean, if we don't do it this year, we got to come back and try next year. It's not something that's going to go away. We're not doing this because we like it, or
We would never have done this just
Not
for
a,
fun.
it's not a soccer park or a recreational activity.
No, it's not.
It's something we have to do.
And it's been really interesting. There have been several people who we would all recognize from our very first meetings that have not missed a meeting. And it's interesting to see their countenance at this point in the process. John and I talked about that maybe.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a barometer because there's a lot less yelling and a lot more support. So we're doing our best to get the word out, and we're not awesome at it. But I did have another meeting, at a meeting with several community members talking about social media, some yard sign type things, some newspaper advertising, and those kind of things. I met for several hours with a couple of different groups over this week to kind of figure those things out. We've got some help in designing some of those things and funding some of those things. And so I spent quite a bit of time this week on that as well. So
I wondered too if that group might be interested in trying to sponsor like a direct mail campaign of sorts, maybe to time with the ballots. That might be if they've got the funding or are willing to do it.
Well, I'm sure they would be willing to do it. It's the funding that may be the issue.
Right.
But those are ongoing conversations. But we've really got some pretty cool community support, folks that
It's been really good that way to
that are
kind of
asking
see
to
that.
help.
And really, one of the things that I admire is the thoughtfulness of the questions that people have, and and at this point we have the answers in our sleep, and so like that. But it's good because they'll still stump us on questions that we're like, oh, we got to go research that. But really, some good thoughtful questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's been all sorts of questions come up that's like, okay, give me 1 second. I got to straighten this out in my mind.
Or go try and find it quick on the internet, or
But
in our
yeah, no,
email or
really,
something.
really quality questions.
Yeah.
Really quality discussions. The other thing, we've got the eclipse coming up this weekend. I know that our tourism department is going to be based out of Parowan over here. I don't know exactly what their plan is, but we're expecting a large influx of people. Northern Iron County, Beaver County are kind of ground zero for this eclipse. We should get a full eclipse view from here, from the area of the Parowan Gap. And so we're expecting an influx of people this weekend for that. That's all I got.
Very good, thank you. I've got a few things. County continues to grow. We've got a local developer that's looking at some development up above, possible development up above Cedar Highlands, and I organized a meeting last week with Reed Erickson and Paul Monroe and Justin Wayman, our attorney for the Water District. We had some discussions and met on that. We also had a meeting this last week in Parowan with the Mayor Halderman, and Dan Jessen, their city manager, We had some others that were supposed to be there, but there was some death. There was a death in the family, and they could not make it. Well, we rescheduled that, but we still had a good discussion. It's interesting with the history of flooding in these towns, because a lot of people say, well, it never did that. It never went here. It never went there. But Google Earth is a pretty amazing tool when you can go back to 1983 or 1980, and you can look at the landscape and you can physically see where water went.
See how much it's changed with you.
Oh, yeah.
And so in the Parowan Valley, it used to go some different places as you look at those old maps. But we had an awesome county engineer, Steve Platt, years ago that made some agreements that go with the main channel that goes down through Parowan. And there's some different pipelines and different things that as we've had some bigger events that have jeopardized some of the agriculture infrastructure with water lines and things, and so these flood channels are difficult because with the water lines close to the channel, they always want us to riprap, which is put boulders or concrete or something to armor the channel. But it becomes very difficult later to clean that out because you're dealing with those rocks and mud mixed with rocks and trying to put them back. And so it's not very conducive to future maintenance. And so we're actually looking to try to negotiate a deal with some of these to move those water lines away from the channel, so we just get them out of the way. And the county's willing to try to do our part, because we did make some agreements with those landowners years ago to make a permanent channel, and so we've got to honor our agreements, and we plan to. But we're working through some of those issues. There's also, and Rich will talk about it today in our next meeting, about some of the NRCS proposals, and he'll bring this up. But the challenge with that is they pay about 100% of the cost of the project, but the county's on the hook to buy the property or buy the easements, which can get very costly, which is a challenge. So we'll talk about that in the next meeting. Rich and I spent some time looking at flooding issues. We went on a little field trip last week. There's some subdivisions years and years ago, before any of our time, that were approved. Nowadays, when you do a construction project or development, you have to retain your own water, and it's called a detention basin. A detention basin is a basin where the water, when you have a big event and that water comes fast and hard, you have a pond where it can hold that massive amount of water that comes quickly, and then it lets it out slowly, and that's a detention. Retention retains it, detention holds it and then lets it out slowly. And so unfortunately, in the years past, many years ago, that wasn't a thing for these developments to hold their own water. So moving forward, we've been very strict on requiring that with any new development to be able to hold that water on their property, to let that out slowly so it doesn't affect the neighbors, because that's what's happened over the years is developments have happened and it affects different people down the as it flows down. Attended the Planning Commission this last week. I was a little bit late. My daughter had a tennis banquet that I attended, but they're always good discussion. I want to publicly thank our Planning Commission members for the time they spend. They do we have a great Planning Commission, and appreciate it pays double missionary wages, so it doesn't pay anything actually, but they work for free, and so we appreciate their efforts, and it's always good to get the background of some of the decisions we that come to this body as we make those. I've been involved I appreciate Commissioner Blake and the sheriff going out and doing these things. We've all been involved in the jail meetings. We meet almost every Wednesday. I was on a committee to talk about the cell construction. We evaluated 4 different companies. There was the 2 top contenders were a company called Tyndall, and one was called Cornerstone. There are different models of constructing jail cells. Tyndall is one that they pour these cells in a controlled environment back east, and then they truck them out and they just stack them up like Legos, and the erection of those is very fast. That was one of the contenders. The other contender is actually a company called Cornerstone. They actually require about a 3-acre site for staging. We actually pour a slab, or they actually pour a slab. We provide the property. They pour a slab, and they actually construct the cells right on site. And so, and they were the ones that we ended up selecting to, knock on wood, hopefully the jail can move forward with the bond, with what we're doing actually tonight as well. But they construct those cells on site, and then they use the crane to actually erect those and stack them. And it's quite a efficient process where the advantage to that is they're using local labor. They're using local cement companies, and so
It was a savings of $2 million
was-
between the two contractors.
Yep. It was a good deal. So, and they've got a very good track record and do a good job. Marilyn mentioned the Henry's Place tour that we went on. That was very interesting, and they do some wonderful work for youth, at-risk youth especially in Las Vegas, and that was really interesting. Appreciated Lynn Drake and Dan. What was Dan's last name? I can't remember, but it was really, really good.
Mariachi or something.
Yeah,
It was
something like that.
something like that.
One last thing. We purchased from Phase Concrete some of these covers. They take Connex boxes. We purchased, I think, 4 or 5 high boys. They're the 8 foot wide, 9 foot high Connex boxes. Are 40 feet deep. And but the road department, they built a slab to start setting those up. I think George is going to have 2 of them. Ryan Riddle with the fire department is going to have one for his store, his equipment under. But they're covers where we can get our equipment underneath out of the sun, which really takes a toll on our equipment. We have these big construction lights and trailers and just different equipment that if we can get it out of the sun, it makes it last a lot longer. So we're working on that and going to try to get those erected and put in place. We appreciate the road department getting that ready. And so this week I've got my 5 county meetings on Wednesday, so looking forward to that. And it's an opportunity to work with the other counties and on common goals. And so, but that's, I believe, unless there's something else. That's all.
Commissioner, I just wanted, if I could talk just for a minute about tonight's meeting.
Sure.
So I had to kind of get clarification because there's 2 different parts to this. There's a public hearing and a public meeting. The public hearing, whenever an entity does a GO bond, there's a public hearing so that anybody who might be affected by adverse competition, say you were building a community recreation center that had exercise equipment, maybe a gym could say, hey, you're going to be taking customers away from me. So that's what that first one is, and I don't know of any other, correctional facilities in Iron County that we'd be competing with. But that's what that first part is for on the public hearing, and then the public meeting is to hear arguments for and against the bond. So those are they're kind of 2 different. It's the same thing, but they're kind of 2 different ones. One is about talking about any potential competition that the facility might have, and the other is broadly for or against the bonds. And it's not a public hearing so much as a public meeting. So.
Right.
So
Well, and
there's nothing we vote on.
No, there's no action items
No action
no.
it's just a public hearing.
Yeah, there's
and
a public hearing and a public meeting.
And I've noticed some chatter or commentary on social media about, hey, we get equal time with what the county presents, and that's it's a public hearing. They can take all the time they want.
Right.
I mean
right.
we'll have Mike and the sheriff, and they'll present theirs.
The
And,
sheriff will bring us some Mountain Dew, and we'll listen.
yeah, and so. I mean, they'll do their presentation, and the public, just for those that are listening, they can present or say whatever they want and comment. Right.
Right,
That's what
and that's the
what
idea.
it is. It's a public hearing. So.
Yep.
And so, did you guys have you been doing public hearings, or you don't do an official? You just do
It's a town hall.
Just a town hall. You answer
Town hall.
questions. I guess
Informational.
We're careful not to have a
not an
quorum.
official quorum.
Yeah, and we don't advertise it through the public notice website. It's more of a community thing.
Got it. And that's good. And that's awesome. You're doing that. So, okay. Well, we'll take let's take a 10-minute break, and we'll reconvene at 10:15.
Here Reed's all ready to go. And
I was hustling thinking you were waiting on me.
You was late, wasn't you?
Are you home? Looking for your training. That guy come and rise those sprinklers. Calling you're home now.
Yeah, that transfer station at Burl, we don't limit who can use it. Different conversation. That was a discussion about who can use the transfer
Stressful
station.
though,
in
man. I mean,
Maryville.
wondering where the
Yes,
crap they
they
are.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really
Just
stressful.
for
Well,
everyone.
like, I mean, there's just nobody home today. Like,
Not the
I
outlet.
Oh,
better get back.
okay,
as
well, that was
quick
just
as
the
I can
opposite.
after
Reed and I
this,
were just having that conversation, and he's talking to
There's
her.
just nobody home.
She's like,
Everybody's
"Why
at
can't I use
school
it?"
or work.
I don't know.
No, because it is a
Well,
person.
we bought her a watch thing.
Okay,
She'd
Canary.
take
And
it
they
off,
paid
but
for
then
it.
we
Canary.
put some kind of
So that
device on her
is
ankle,
different.
I think, that she
Yes.
couldn't get off.
And now that you mention that, I
We-
do
It
recall
is.
having
Be
that
there.
conversation.
Might need to
They
do
had a
that.
conversation. In
I mean,
fact,
this
they
wasn't
wasn't
an issue
anything, but then
2
they
weeks ago.
ended up
It was, I mean, this really
Ready?
started like on Friday.
late.
All right, looks like we're ready to go. Appreciate those that have joined us in the commission meeting today. We'll start out with agenda item number 1, which is public comments. And this is a 3-minute opportunity to visit with the commission and express some concerns you might have. Public comments, if anybody'd like to take time. Please state your name.
Patty Truax.
Patty Truax.
Truax.
Hi, Patty.
And I live in the unincorporated area of Canaryville,
Okay.
which they don't notify us when we have meetings in the town, so. But I built my home in 2005, and as you know, all the homes out there have to bring in water and power to their homes and bear the expense, and also to take care of their sewage. And in 2008, well, I built my home in 2005, I think I mentioned that. But in 2008, the municipal tax was added to our tax burden, and just for the unincorporated properties. And this tax affected about 900 properties. And my question to Reed Erickson was, what municipal services? Because we provide our own services to each home. And he wrote back to me in a letter, and I say, and it quote, "The purpose of the municipal services tax is to pay for services such as fire protection, law enforcement, and some road maintenance, including snow removal for properties located in unincorporated areas of Iron County." And again, it's like, well, what municipal services? We have a volunteer fire service. We maintain our own roads as best we can, including snow removal, but we do depend on the law enforcement, and that's pretty critical for anyone.
So the county, if I just make a clarification, the county pays Canaryville for the unincorporated area
Well,
for
we're-
fire service. So that's why they're the ones that, but we pay them to do that service. That comes out
so
of that municipal
we're being
services.
taxed for it at any
Right,
rate.
right, because we pay that to
Should-
Canaryville for
And
for
that'd
that
be the
service.
same as the people that live not in Cedar or Enoch, those unincorporated areas out there. We pay a hefty bill to Cedar City to manage the fire out there, and it's expensive.
Well, and I appreciate those efforts too. I just think that that's what the general fund is for, and not the municipal services fund or tax. So anyway, I think the jail is a legitimate requirement. We all should be contributing for that. I just don't think these other municipal services that should be coming out of the general fund is something that should be placed on those property owners in the unincorporated areas only. So, in fact, in 2008, when that was added, my tax went up $746, which is almost twice what the general fund tax was on my property of $397. In 2023, it's going to be $1,076 for the municipal tax, and almost twice what the general fund of $942 tax is. So it's a real burden to people who are primarily retired, and I don't see it as a just tax. I think it should all come out of the general fund tax and be equally distributed, because clearly we don't tax we don't require those services as much as incorporated areas. And when we do require them, it's a half an hour to get any of those services. So you can imagine the damage that can happen with a fire in a half an hour, or if someone's trying to break into my house. So anyway, I do want to say that I would be glad to pay my share for the jail. I do think that's necessary, and I think we should all be, obliged to do that. The only thing I would like to ask you to do is to please eliminate this municipal tax that is placed on these unincorporated homes. It's just not a fair tax as far as I'm concerned. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'd just like to mention, in talking to Patty Reed Erickson, that she had mentioned there was some concern about the landfill as well, and I wanted to clarify that. For the dump station, the people who are in the unincorporated area can take to that transfer station, or is it just for the people in?
Just for the people in Canaryville. Canaryville pays for that service for the residents of Canaryville.
Doesn't the county haul that stuff
No.
from that site to the landfill?
They haul it.
They
The
hire.
county does.
The county hauls it, but they pay for us to haul it, is what I'm saying. Canaryville pays for that.
So it's not for anybody in the unincorporated area, it's just for the incorporated area? I didn't
the
understand it that way.
incorporated,
And that's, we had a question about that. We weren't sure when we were talking about that.
If the unincorporated, they're obligated just to haul themselves.
They have the
There.
dumpsters there, and she has one in her neighborhood, but
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
So they use the dumpsters that they pick
Yeah.
up. Thank you. All right, seeing no other comments, we'll go to number 2, discussion and approval to have a portion of 600 North added to the road maintenance schedule. And that's a little bit of an adjustment on the agenda verbiage. Richard Wilson.
Good morning, Commissioners. So a couple of months ago, we had Kendall Webster, who bought a property out off of Iron Springs Road and just off of 600 North, come into our offices and speak to us about how to get a road dedication done and what needed to be done. And we went through the process of getting their neighbors and others on board to do a road improvement before we would ever adopt it into our schedule. What they decided to do, he and his neighbors, was rather than go through the process of us providing a bond and an assessment area, they got together and ponied up the money and did it. And they paved it, and it just got finished a few weeks ago. And so this is the location we have up here. So it comes off of Iron Springs Road at 600 North, just above 5600 South. So to the right is where the inner port is on this photo over here to the west. And so this is the location, and the next slides right there. So they hired a Go Civil to design the road and to look at the road to see what kind of condition it was already in. And after consulting with Go Civil, we set the standard. They came in and met that standard, and they paved it with 4 inches of asphalt because it's going to be heavy use truck. Most of the things in there are truck traffic. There's some residential, and these are some pictures that I took of their completed job. So they've done a nice job of paving this. And so this is that's Iron Springs Road going on that photo across it, and then this is from the end where they concluded their activities. And just beyond this is the belt route. Probably 150 feet is where the belt route will come through on this. So I felt that they did an excellent job and would like to recommend that the
So you'll be
commissioner-
able to get onto the belt route, right?
That'll continue. I'm not sure we're going to let it
No,
enter
it's
the
not
belt
one.
route. but it's back far enough.
It's not an access point there.
It's not a discussed access point. No, it didn't come out in Kimley Horn. That's not what we were looking for an access there. But that road is an improvement to everyone who resides there, plus the businesses. I don't know if you've ever been out there before they did that, but there was some pretty big potholes and some mud, and that's why this Kendall Webster came to us, is because they wanted a better
It was
feel
really
to their
bad
to their
last
new
winter,
project.
wasn't it?
Well, yes, and they felt that for their customers it would provide a nicer, cleaner access. So my recommendation to the commission is that we adopt this and put it on our maintenance schedule, and we'll add that to the then we'll be able to get reimbursed for it too and add it to our funding. But it's not a road that is going to go deteriorate very soon. It's got 15 inches of road base.
Wow.
And then, well, what I mean by that, it's got 15 inches of sub base plus 6 inches of road base plus 4 inches of gravel. It's probably one of the
Overkill.
no, just our new
Really a good
standards. It's
road,
meeting our
yeah.
new standards to roads,
Yeah.
and so I don't see it as being any maintenance issue in the next
At least 7
10 years.
probably.
It'll probably be 7 before it even needs to be
Chip seal.
chip sealed or oiled again.
Mhm.
So that's my recommendation. So I leave it to you to discuss that and ask me any questions.
Sounds good to me.
I don't have any questions.
So I think at this
Need a
point you
motion?
vote on adding it to the.
How long is it?
It's like 1,300 feet. It's just really a short spur.
Or yeah.
I don't know. I could walk up to that design and tell you.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's fine. Yeah.
I think you sold us, Rich. I don't know that
We're
you-
good.
Unless you're
What's
looking.
that?
Unless, I think you already sold us.
Well,
Unless
talk
you're looking
us
to
out
get
of
your
it.
step count in.
I can't see it from here, and I can't see it when I get close. I'd have to go to the actual plans.
Somebody hurry and make a motion.
Hey, I'm going to move to approve the portion of 600 North as described by Mr. Wilson at Iron Springs Road, that it be added to the maintenance schedule for the Iron County road system.
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Rich. Looks like Rich, you're the star of the show today. Looks like. It's like
Something else.
you got
Two more.
you got your name on 2 more items.
3.
Ratification.
The next 3.
Hope you're ready to talk about it.
Because you're.
Could you recite some poetry for us?
It's Marilee's fault. She's all over.
The shocked look on your face.
Killing us.
Who reads these when John sends them?
Well,
Obviously, I don't.
All right. 3, ratification of a participating agreement between Iron, Garfield, Washington, and Kane counties and the USDA Forest Service, Dixie National Forest. And I believe that's the one I called on and asked about if I should sign that, because I've already signed it.
No, that's not the one you called on.
That is not? I thought
No, that's the one Maryland signed, I believe. It's the agreement between the road crew and the Forest Service, where we
There was one about
Parking
weeds.
lot?
Which one was the weed one? Let's see.
the what?
There was one talking about weeds.
Yeah, that was part of the
Part of it, wasn't it?
for all the different
Anyway.
counties. 3.
Yeah, it's
That was the one.
yeah. And this is just the ratification of those agreements that we signed with the Forest Service, both of those, where our partnership, all 4 of them actually to 5, they're all pretty much the same. Well, no, 5 is the one you signed, Commissioner. So the first 2 are our agreements with the Forest Service, where we
Well, I
participate and
signed that
share
one too, but I-
responsibilities with their roads and their weeds and
Yeah, that's
other
what
things.
I
Yeah.
about.
And number 5, Commissioner, is the one where Bowen Collins is looking to get the EIS plan west of the interstate on the other side from Parowan. They had previously done that study up until they got to the interstate. When it got back to Washington, D.C., they looked at the map and said, well, what's the water going to do when it gets to the interstate? And so we had to
Well, let's go, Rich, let's go ahead and
increase
ratify
that.
number
Do you want to
three.
do that
Let's do number
one at
3
a time?
first. Yeah, let's do them one at a time. Let's start with 3.
Okay. I would move for approval of the ratification of the participating agreement between whoops, that's the wrong one.
That was right.
Right.
Oh,
that right?
Between
Oh,
Iron
okay.
Garfield.
Okay, Iron, Garfield, Washington, King County, and the USDA Forest Service, Dixie National Forest.
second.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor? Ratifying that?
Aye.
Aye.
I was going to ask you about that. I was reading through that, and there was a lot of Garfield County. They'll do this, they'll do that. What? Not the other counties? I mean, why did they have specified with Garfield County?
Well, it's where we touch them with our roads, where the roads are. So we
Oh,
don't
so we have to have
necessarily
agreement.
right. We may not have roads going north and south as much as our roads east to west to get
Okay.
into that. So there would be more mention of their interfacing with us than the other counties.
Oh, okay.
So-
Did you?
I need you to vote.
Oh, aye.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. All right. Number 4, ratification of a contract for services between Iron County and Adaptive Environment Planning LLC on the Parowan Valley Plan EIS.
That was so. What happened when we started this process back in 2017-18 with Steve Platt, and they started the study of the Parowan Valley? They had hired Bowen Collins, and Bowen Collins subcontracted the EIS study to another company, which was a sister company of theirs. Well, that company evolved into this new company, Adaptive Environmental Planning. And so in order to keep the documents clear, we took McLean out and we added Adaptive Environmental Planting, and they took over for that EIS study. It's that small amount of money, I think, and NRCS is paying this bill, but we have to be the sponsor, and so that's like a $37,000 payment to Adaptive Environmental Planning. And so we signed that contract. We created that contract just to transfer it from Macmillan. I'm sorry, it was Macmillan to Adaptive Planning.
Okay.
Right.
Entertain a motion.
I'd move for ratification of the contract for services between Iron County and Adaptive Environment Planning LLC on the Parowan Valley Plan EIS.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Aye.
Thank you. 5, ratification of a contract for services between Iron County and Bowen Collins and Associates on the Parowan Valley Plan EIS.
Right. And so this is the one where they provided us with a plan up to the interstate, and now they have to carry it the other side. And we are still the sponsoring entity. So NRCS pays for us or reimburses us for this, but this is a big one. This is the $500,000 addition to that Parowan Valley study, because it takes everything west and will generate a plan to Little Salt Lake, because that's where it all eventually ends up.
NRCS pays for that,
It is paying also for this study,
all of it.
all of it for these two, both of them.
And wasn't it that we had to pay all of it or that they paid all of it for the planning, but we had to do in kind for the actual work at some point?
No, what's going to happen is they will actually pay for the work. After the plan is approved, they'll pay for the work. Where our stick is they do not pay for property acquisition, easements, and that's become a bit of a concern of mine. And I've talked to the commissioners about that. That bill will come due in the future if we keep going forward. And as of 2 years ago, they estimated $8 million to
Do they
acquire those.
require fee simple, or will they accept an easement?
They'll accept NRCS. They presume we have the rights, that we've done it, but that
If it's an existing channel,
right. But you see, John,
Well, from
on this,
5 feet to 100. So
right?
it's the expansion.
Take
It's
some
it's the
property.
expansion. It's the expansion, and right now, it's just something that we need to.
If we let them continue to do these studies, are we on the hook for to say, yeah, we need to move forward?
And that's why in next week during the budget meeting, I'd like to talk more about that and then we can come back to this meeting and decide where to go.
And that's when I called you on some of these and said, hey, is this obligating us to anything yet? And you said, no, we'll go ahead and sign it, and then we'll
We'll have a future discussion.
Future
Because this study will take another year and a half, and then we have to sign to go forward. That's when they'll actually create a construction plan, and we'll have a decision then. But it is concerning to me because I know the bill eventually will come due, and we want to make sure that we want to pay that bill. And as Commissioner Blake has said, we don't want to put another commission on the hook for something that we decide here today. We often have to do that just to keep the continuance of government, but there's times when we ought to take a step back. And as I've become a little more seasoned in my position as county engineer, there are things that I'm thinking twice about now. It was something I didn't know when I first started. It's something I know more about, and I want to be offering better counsel. And so that's why I want to discuss it at the budget meeting.
Is it? I mean, is it the that the county's on the hook, or is it that the project doesn't move forward until the land is acquired?
I think that's
Well,
Is that-
part and parcel. So once the plan is made, then we go out to bid for it. And again, NRCS does not check our records to see if we've acquired those easements or those parcels. They presume we have, but in good faith, we should have. And that's the way I would rather operate, is that we have those in place before we break ground.
So how does the plan work? Do they? At what point does Iron County know, with a fair degree of precision, what needs to be acquired? Is that already established, or does that happen as they do their?
Part of the study, isn't
Study.
it?
Well, in part, it has somewhat been established, at least from the mouth of the canyon to
I-15.
I-50.
I-15, because we have a proposal, not a plan, but we have the proposal, and that has expanded the width of the channel 75 feet at the top. That's the proposed width right now. Now remember, that's for a 100-year storm. That's not for anything we have actually seen. Even after the Bryan Head fire, we didn't see a 100-year event.
You mean 1,000 a year? I mean,
No, 100.
Because we have 300-year storms every year anymore. Seems like.
Well, the projection for a 100-year storm is almost 4,300 CSF, and we haven't seen a 40
100-year, you
out of
sure?
this canyon. We have not seen a 4,300 CSF storm. We have seen some 2,000s and 2,500, and they really do overran that channel. And several years ago, when Steve was able to get that channel put through, as he was anticipating the runoff from the Bryan Head fire, it was all it could do to retain it. And even with no vegetation, that storm would have been twice as big. I mean, that event or effect would have been twice as big had we actually had a 100-year storm with that.
But they wouldn't go out to bid on work until they were sure we had the property. So that's the trigger
They would
point.
be hand in hand. They would be together.
So they're not going to do anything. This does not obligate us to anything until, the same question I asked you before I signed it, this does not obligate us to anything until we
till we get
acquire
the
that.
construction drawings and
get
we
that
say we're going to
acquired,
do
and-
that.
And we've acquired that property. That needs to
Right,
be
they go
acquired.
hand in hand. We would do that.
These drawings can be used for years to come. As soon as if we find the money, we can move forward.
So worst case scenario, we will have wasted the planning part of it if we never take action.
To some extent.
Which is
but we have a
important
lot
by
of good
NRC.
information with the planning part.
Yeah, I mean, it's not wasted and the plan is still there, but if you're not using the plan, what good is the plan?
Right. And that's become a conundrum.
Well, and without throwing anybody under the bus, I mean, we had a meeting with Dan Jessen and Molly Halderman, the Parowan mayor. There's some talk with particularly Dan and an engineer. My dad was an engineer, and they tend to overkill things a little bit. No offense, Rich, but
It's okay.
I think everything I built with my dad growing up, I think it would last through the millennium and beyond. But anyway, it's I mean,
If you build
the
it-
chance of a 4,000 event is, like Dan was saying, that would have to be a unbelievable storm.
It would. And in defense of those poor engineers, the reason things don't last as long is because the budget pencil people get in there and cut the design, and then the bridge wears out. But you're absolutely right. There is
There's some overkill.
there is some. And part of that overkill is just the requirement of NRCS that it has to be no less than a 100-year storm. You can't design and get the funding for a 50-year storm. You can't get the funding for anything less than that 100-year event. And so it's the chicken and the egg problem. But no, and that's what concerns me too, Jonathan, that we keep pushing this down the road if we're not going to do it. Even federal money is still our tax dollars, and it's us. But we've done the same thing on.
But what it will give us is clarity. We will know what needs to be done, even if we're not quite able to do it right away or all at once, or maybe we can get it to the freeway but not through. I mean, you know what I mean?
That's right.
There's a lot to be said for what can be done, and if nothing else, moving forward keeps the door open for all of that.
Well,
and the other thing is, looking back, the Bryan Head fire was just a remarkable event, and the reason the NRCS is involved is because they're wanting to be able to harden those channels against the vegetative loss, and what I was peripherally involved in this, and I figure to me it's such a blessing for this basin overall. That they're willing to do that, and it's been a remarkable watching Steve work his way through it. I think it's a great thing. I was just playing devil's advocate with some of those questions, but I think it's remarkable.
Well, and hopefully, as in the past, landowners, to protect their property, may recognize the benefit of donating some of those easements
Right.
and land to protect their property, and hopefully, because we just
Right.
we just don't have the money.
Right.
Unfortunately, we don't, and so it just trying to raise the money to build a new jail has been so difficult. I can't imagine raising this kind of money in addition to a need like that. So hopefully, as in past, those landowners, which we greatly appreciate, that have donated property to allow us to do what we've done, maybe that could continue to some degree.
Right, and that's part of the worst case scenario of the $8 million would be all acquired by purchase, and it doesn't take into account donations and goodwill and things like that. It's one of those things, back when I was a scoutmaster, I didn't know how to get a boy an eagle till I did it once. And so it's kind of the learning process I've had with these NRCS projects too. Once I've seen how they work, I'm understanding better and can give better counsel and guidance. So,
Okay.
but that's what that is. No commitment as funding wise yet. It just simply says that we're the sponsors and we'd like to have this done.
Ready? I would move for approval of the ratification of the contract for services between Iron County and Bowen Collins and Associates on the Parowan Valley Plan EIS.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Rich.
Kendall.
Number 6, discussion and possible approval of flyover oblique orthographic imagery services contract with Finby TAC.
Kendall made me put all those.
Did
big
I
words
say all
in there.
that right?
You did.
Yeah, close.
Wow.
You know what they mean?
No.
Oh. All right. Well,
Do you?
somewhat.
Kendall does.
I'm happy to present this to you and close out our RFP for our bid for our imagery collection for our assessor's office. It's been a fun process to be working with the assessor's office and see this tool that's available for us. We had multiple vendors interested, and we took a long time to demo most of them and see what they have and what they could offer for not only the residents of Iron County, but for the assessor's office.
Could you explain what it is and the value of it?
Yeah, so we're going to be collecting current imagery for the most populated areas in the county so that the assessors can see changes over time and be able to use that imagery to help our tax.
That's what you showed me in Richard's
Yep.
office the other day.
Yep.
It's awesome.
It's really cool.
It's way cool.
Yep, and with this,
It's
with
it's
this-
like probably like the Google Earth where you can
Yeah.
look at a historical photo and
Yep.
see what's changed.
Yep, and we'll be able to collect that with this company and be able to see year-to-year changes.
It's that, but
which is really
cooler.
exciting.
The oblique part of that means you actually get a side view. So when you're looking at structures, you can see like the side of
3D type.
Right. It's really remarkable.
Going to create a 3D rendered model of our populated areas. So with
So if
that,
you see if Commissioner Wood builds a doghouse on our
yeah,
property.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
You sure?
at the assessor's office, see how much it's worth. But with that, we've demoed a lot, and we've really liked what Phoebe Tech has presented to us, and the assessor's office has decided to go with them.
And what is the cost?
So in there, we have that bid, and we're going to not go with the Modena area, that option, but everything else will be there. So it was.
What you want to
pull
do
it up.
then? What's the cost?
I'll have to pull it up.
Do you mean
real
to-
quick. It was about 60. Yep.
$60K.
Yep. Which is what we were using historically in the past for other vendors. So.
And do they do this yearly? Or
Yep. So this is gonna be a yearly fly.
And this 60,000 covers us for how long?
So we've talked to Phoebe Tech, and they're multi-year. We're looking about 3 years for this.
60K
Big.
covers us for 3 years, so about 20 years.
And they're here if and Jared's here to answer any other questions if
Come
if
on
you
up.
have anything.
Okay, come on up if you'd like.
Hi, I'm Keegan with Finby Tech.
Hello,
How's it going?
good. How are you?
Good.
to have you. Where are you from?
I'm from Elko, Nevada. We live in Enoch now, so yeah, we're local.
Nice.
Yeah, and this is Megan.
Hi,
She's
Megan.
she's our CAD manager. So, good, sir. And so, yeah, we were talking with Kendall about contract. And are you thinking, 3 years, 3-year contract,
Reevaluate.
and then reevaluate at a later a later date if you guys need us after that.
You do this with a plane?
It's a drone.
Drone?
It's a fixed wing drone.
How
So,
high do you fly?
Depending on what you guys need, ground sampling distance wise, we can fly anywhere from 150 feet to 600, 700, 800. But yeah, just depends on the project. So
Are you a roper?
a roper? No.
Oh,
But
you got a cactus.
yeah. But
My
yeah.
kids use of cactus rope, so
Yeah, they're pretty good. Pretty good ropes.
cool.
So
Yes, sir.
what
Cool.
was the amount then?
It was
So if you-
60,000,
So it's
so it's about 20,000 a year.
that Modena.
So we've also, Kendall's brought this to my office as well as to Terry's office, and we see the usefulness both in in our offices as well. As we have this imagery, Terry will be able to see building permits and make sure that he's keeping up with those. And with the contouring that they're able to provide, we'll be able to map channels. When they get close to those, we'll see that.
So how does this compare with LiDAR and those kind of,
Similar.
similar to that?
What is your precision on elevations?
Oh, centimeters.
Pardon me?
Centimeters.
Centimeters. LiDAR. It's like the LiDAR. And we can match that to the LiDAR if we have any questions. Is that right, Kendall?
Yeah, but the LiDAR's not current, right? Collected. So if things changed.
Yeah, not a lot's going to change
But like
in the
with flood
reality.
channels and stuff, it's.
Yeah, and so the other thing was with Bruce was also very interested because of the flight over the landfill
Landfill.
to
Because we have to fly that
capacities.
quite often anyway.
And
Yeah,
so we can
for
do
his reports.
We talked about that we would be able to do maybe one-offs if we have the overall.
So does this just do the whole county, or do you have to tell them specific areas?
So we've also talked about that. So we with this bid, we selected the corridor, obviously, and then asked for an optional for Modena.
So if we want to do the
Um,
landfill, that's going to be.
But some of these areas aren't going to change, and so we don't need to do it yearly. So we're going to take that square footage or acreage and be able to shift it around the county to follow the assessor's area or
Yeah.
other projects in the county. As you can see, it's going to spill over. This was for the assessor's office, but the more I've played with it, the more every department's going to
Be able to use
start
that.
using it. And dispatch.
So you and I have talked offline about this, but one of the great things about these guys is that the interface is actually through Esri.
Yeah.
Could you explain why that's a big deal?
Yeah, there was no problem with our interface. We use Esri for our GIS software, and it plugged in perfectly. No problems whatsoever. And I can take their product and throw it into our enterprise, our server based, or on our ArcGIS Online deployment that's been in place for a long time. How long have we been using ArcGIS Online, Jared? Long time. Yeah. So it's been a long time. So
Okay.
So,
seamless.
So here is their quote, and I did want to note that we don't pay tax, so that kind of throws
Yeah.
things off a little bit. So we're looking at the 5520, 39480, not the 32504. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then the web hosting is still the same.
Yep.
So, and then AI assisted. Oh, that's right. Maybe talk about that. That's really cool. The AI assisted.
Yeah, so the AI is you're basically having the computer look at different pixels to be able to find certain objects, right? So if we want to see solar panels, you can make the computer look at pixel patterns and be able to find it throughout the
A
imagery
black
collection.
rectangle or something, yeah.
Yep.
Throughout the whole area.
Yeah, well, that's down the road, but yeah, there is the capability to be able to train the computer to look for specific weeds also if it was flown during leaf on. We're flying it leaf off so that the structures can be seen easily, but
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. The leaves on the,
The
tree.
potential
would
is
cover some of
pretty
that
cool,
up.
clear across the board. So, if we want to look for metal roofs, if we want to look for whatever striping on roads, swimming pools.
Wow. Not too many of those here.
There's actually more than you think.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, trampoline. There, trampoline. It's unreal how many trampolines are in there.
One of the demos we saw was an area, and there was a trampoline in every yard.
Yep.
Oh my heck.
Yep.
Till
But
the
yeah,
till the windstorm come in and then they're
That
all
AI
down the
tech,
street.
that AI technology is going to
Never
be
has
really
four of
useful.
Yeah.
So
All
just
right.
quick math was 55,950 before taxes, dropping the optional. Did I get that right? I mean that was quick math.
Yeah.
The 55.
Right there at that 60 mark. Yeah.
Okay.
You need a hard number?
Not necessarily. I was just trying to give clarity to the commissioners.
Not to exceed 60 usually.
I'd say up to 60.
The assessor's office already currently has this budgeted for each year. So it's not adding anything to it.
Jared, would you come up to the microphone? Sorry.
I should know better.
Could you tell us your name?
You should.
Yeah, Jared Wilson. So the assessor's office already has money budgeted for this year after year. So they have 60,000 budgeted in there. They've got it concurrent going through. So unless we choose to eliminate that, that monies are already set aside. So that's the reason why it started out like this, and that's the reason why we've got the room for expansion and everything else. So it's quite awesome. You ought to see a demo of everything that they do. It's
Well, and
remarkable.
maybe with time,
So-
once we get more comfortable with them, maybe some of the other departments would be willing to help
Right,
us.
and that's what we're talking about too, is because like Rich has mentioned, that he's got money in his budget as well, so we can start pulling these monies together. We can do these one-offs, we can do all that kind of stuff. We probably keep our, I like it's local too, right here in Enoch, so it's really
Yeah, that
good.
was
But we can do a lot of flying and make it really, really effective and productive. So what they do is amazing. It really is. Like seeing the demos and that, it's sweet stuff. So. Sorry, I wasn't going to interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's why I asked you to come in, because I didn't know these answers. So.
All right.
Cool.
Entertain a
Right.
motion.
I'd move for approval of flyover oblique orthographic imagery services contract. Contract.
They-
Doesn't have an R,
That's
but
the word you had a hard time with?
doesn't have an R, John.
There's no R.
It says contact.
I got it
We-
right.
We
Contact.
misspelled it.
I got it right, but Jeannie informed me that it changed. So I cheated.
With Invitac. And note that there's already a $60,000 budget line item in the assessor's office that will cover the cost of that contract.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kendall. 7, discussion and possible approval of partial subdivision vacate and amend for lots 3 and 4, Block A, Meadow Lake Estates subdivision. This is to combine into single lot 3A for Don Fitch and Walter Davenport. Approximately 0.95 acres within the description in the agenda. This is located near 2755 East Meadow Lake Drive, Bryan Head, Utah. Applicant is Don Fitch, and Reed Erickson will present.
Thank you. I can
You
only
had to
say
wait for
I'm
all
glad
of
it's not a
that.
ratification of a contract or a contract that Rich is not taking this item. This is a very straightforward, simple process of combining 2 lots into a single lot. Of course, it requires a plat amendment. This is a vicinity map showing this location in Meadow Lake Estates, just off of Highway 143, east of Cedar Breaks National Monument. And you can see here a little better location just on the very northern edge of that, the highlighted 2 lots that would be combined into a single lot. So it's a plat that's been reviewed and ready to be signed, and it's a very straightforward process requiring approval by the county commission, and then it can be recorded.
I talked to a local electrician who was working for these folks, who was trying to get 3 pedestals so they could all bring their camp trailers and as a family camp out and have a fire. and,
Yeah, there's a
you know,
couple
and-
of different ones up
but
in
there was
that
a-
area that
I
are
had a
all
call, I
doing
called
them.
Terry and we kind of worked through some things, but they're trying to, I guess there's a fine line between somebody trying to create a
Mobile home park.
mobile home park and
Yeah,
something like
travel
that.
trailer
So,
park and
anyway, it
what
was,
they're doing. But this just erases that lot line, doesn't really have anything to do with those uses. This is simply creating a lot that doesn't have that lot line, so setbacks can be met. And then they can go ahead with a building permit, whatever that would require.
So it's only like an acre. So were these before our septic tank?
They were 0.45 acres and 0.5 acres. They were each smaller.
Yeah,
They were
this subdivision was
pre-existing,
platted in
in
the
a
60s.
pre-existing
Pre-exist-
non-conforming
okay.
lots that were
That's what I-
eligible to be built on.
So they
It's
can
just
be,
that
and they can have their septic.
Any of the lots in this Meadow Lake Estates are so small that you can't even meet the setbacks. And that's why a lot of these are, we've had
Add
2 of
two
them prior to
together.
this, and we'll have another one in a couple of weeks. And they're just people that have been able to acquire now an additional lot so that they can build or do something with the
and they
property.
they can have a septic tank because it's seasonal. If it was year round, they would have to have a water source.
They can
correct.
haul water.
They
Yes,
can haul,
because
they
it's
can haul
seasonal.
water.
They're
but-
seasonal,
but the-
yeah.
but the-
Existing
Yeah.
seasonal lots.
Those roads aren't kept open year round.
No.
Yep. Okay, you ready?
Mhm.
I would move for approval of the partial subdivision vacate and amended for lots 3 and 4, Block A, Meadow Lake Estates subdivision combining into single lot 3A for Don Finch and Walter Davenport, approximately 0.95 acres. There's the description, and located near 2755 East Meadow Lake Drive, Bryan Head, Utah.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Reed. You're just spoiled because you're usually on the first of the agenda.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, he had to wait for Richard, the Richard show.
I don't put up with that anymore.
I wasn't even aware of the show.
I get signatures on that.
Yeah. So he couldn't hear us laughing about it.
I'm coming.
Sam left his son. I'll catch you. I need you, Joe.
All right. We'll go ahead and now convene as the Board of Equalization and address agenda item number 8, which is to discuss and approve of the Board of Equalization hearing officer recommendations for appeals filed for 2023. Carrie Christensen.
Sheesh. Took a whole tree.
So when we went up to talk to Senator McKay and Senator Owen,
Yes, yeah.
to the Juab County assessor, and I says, "Oh, how's BOE going?" He says, "Good. We finished up today. We had 9."
Oh, wow. Wow.
Rub that.
Oh.
And theirs was bad.
Oh yeah.
It was horrible.
Oh, anyway.
Okay, so you have 3 reports presented in front of you. One of them, the master log, is the actual data log entered into our Eagle system that does our valuation and tax system. We had 603 appeals this year.
Wow.
So that's a significant increase from last year. The second report is a color-coded report. That's actually my log that I keep and maintain for balancing purposes. This shows the individual adjustments to each of the accounts and parcels that were appealed this year. On the very last page of that report, it shows we had a total of 600.
Which one are you on? That one?
The
Yep.
last page.
Yes, the last page of that, page 15. We had a total of 603 appeals this year. We did a total value adjustments, market value adjustments of $35,559,491, and a taxable value adjustment of $36,221,350. It is a significant increase from the years prior. Your final report is the commission report that shows, with those adjustments in market and taxable value, the amount that's going to be reduced in our general fund and municipal services. With that tax adjustment, that's a reduction in taxes, in county taxes to our general fund of $41,038.79. And a municipal service adjustment is $23,626.80 for a total adjustment to county services or money $64,665.59. And then also on that last report, that page 2 gives you kind of a number of appeals and the amount of adjustments for the last few years. You can kind of see the difference of what we've done, and it's kind of, we're on an increase. And I will be honest, I think next year's going to be worse. Have any questions for me?
You know, I spoke with the Weber County auditor, and he says, we seem to be a couple of years ahead of you guys, and he says they were actually down this year.
Oh.
So maybe by 2025 it won't be as crazy. But we're kind of unique in that people still want to be here.
Hold my breath.
Yeah, people are still moving here. So
Yeah.
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 Well, thank you for making that
thank you.
mountain of work. And you explain it very, very efficiently. But, well, thank you for all you guys do.
That's a lot of work. We appreciate you.
So I just need to know if you're going to approve the adjustments.
If we're ready, I'm fixing to. If we're ready, I'm fixing to motion.
She's in a hurry. Look at her.
You can be as grateful
Get
as
outta
you want.
here.
I got to go mail all the notices.
Well, I'm going to move for approval of the Board of Equalization hearing officer recommendations for the appeals filed for 2023.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. John, I've signed most of these, looks like.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was just slacking. The thing is, people bring their own copies in.
Do I need to re-sign anything?
No, those are somewhere.
I've signed all the ones I've looked at so far.
Oh.
I think
That
these
was-
might have been the ones that,
This
that
will
you
be the
brought
other
to me
ones,
during the
too.
week, I thought. Maybe.
Yeah, that's because they're ratifications.
Anywhere on that page,
That one.
please.
Okay.
This is what I was concerned
Oh.
about with their numbers, because
Do we
it's
need
not
to
gonna be that high.
cross anything? I mean-
let's put a line through the Newcastle, that 32.
Like that.
Okay. Is that it? And then it comes out to,
Yeah.
says print. Do I sign or print?
Go ahead and sign. I don't know why they put print. And
Probably below it.
maybe put a line through. There you go. The tax. I see. We don't pay tax.
That look good?
She's got more for you. No, I'd been slacking, Paul, and I'm like, oh, let me grab these, and yeah, half of them were.
Oh, you're good. I
Ratification.
just didn't know if I was missing something. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we'll reconvene as Iron County Commission and go to personnel number 9. Jennifer. And I did call on number C. I did call Wendy because I wasn't sure, as I asked you this morning, if some of these are backfills, if they're new hires.
Yes, and I appreciate you letting me know.
And Wendy explained to me on her position is a new one, but it's 75% covered by Vulcan, 25% by state.
Correct. Yeah, and for future reference, I will put that on the agenda so you know kind of going ahead. So I appreciate you letting me know on that.
Thanks.
All right, so I will cover first items A through G, and then go on to the insurance after, if that's okay. So Dorna Nelly, or she goes by Nelly Garcia, was selected from the most recent competitive recruiting and interview process to backfill the vacant personal property specialist position effective 10/16/2023. And that was in the assessor's office. In the clerk's office, Lisa Witt was selected from the most recent competitive recruiting and interview process to backfill the vacant deputy clerk position effective 10/16/2023. In the CJC, Adeline Abbott was selected from the most recent competitive recruiting and interview process to fill the newly approved forensic interviewer position effective 11/27/2023. And then Dean Lane and Rylan Holyoke were selected from the most recent competitive interview and recruiting process to backfill the vacant road maintenance positions effective 10/1/2023. For promotions, Tom Bird was selected from an internal roster to be promoted from a corporal to a sergeant effective September 17th, 2023. And then Sean Higgins and Aaron Wadley have both completed these steps to appropriately be promoted from a Deputy 1 to a Deputy 2. September 17th would be the effective date, 2023, and they're both in the Corrections Department in the Sheriff's Office. And then Kathy Riggs asked me to present the next one because she is out of town. Patricia Larice Ellsworth, but she will go by Larice, was selected for the USU Extension Office position, and that would be a backfill position as well. And her effective date would be 10/9/2023. And that funding, I think that's only a small percentage that comes from the county, but she just wanted to get that on the agenda for you guys to be aware of. And that's all for those ones.
Should we approve that many?
So A through G.
Yeah. I would move for approval of A through G in personnel as Jennifer has presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then
Perfect.
H, insurance renewal.
All right, so I put together a packet for your commission packet, so you could go through that if you had any questions before today, because it's a lot of information. But I'll kind of do a little bit of a cliff notes. The insurance committee met a few weeks ago to go over all of the NFP's figures and to just kind of get a heads up of what we have done in the past as well as a future recommendation, and we do that every year just to kind of get our employee buy-in. Iron County is currently on a high deductible healthcare plan through PEHP. In 2024, the mandatory IRS limits will increase from a minimum deductible of $1,500 to $1,600 for the single coverage, and then from $3,000 to $3,200 for a family coverage plan. And Iron County currently contributes $750 for a single coverage for their HSAs and $1,500 for a family coverage into their HSA accounts every year. So we have not been asking you to increase that, and we won't this year as well, even though the IRS has increased that, just to kind of offset some of the costs. To max out the contributions, just for reference, into HSA plan, the allowable limits for 2024 have increased from $3,850 in 2023 to $4,150 for a single coverage, and from $7,750 to $8,300 for a family coverage. PHP came in with a renewal of 3.32% increase, which a standard increase, they said that they have been seeing is about a 10. So we're actually doing pretty okay, even though that is a lot to kind of a big pill to swallow. And I can give you the breakdowns if you really need those. But with dental, insurance increased 4.69, which only really is only talking about a couple of dollars for a single family and a double plan, because it is pretty low. It is a rich dental plan. We actually do provide a really good dental and vision plan for our employees. Vision insurance renewal was a 0% increase. So yay.
Oh, yeah.
We'll
One
take
good.
it. The EAP plan for Bloomquist Health will increase a couple of dollars as well. They just cannot keep their providers just like everybody else. The cost of living is going up, and they need to increase their rates just a tad, and they're trying really hard to offset this, so it's not a lot, but it will increase a little bit for us. But for PHP, just for reference, our increase plan will go to $83,228. That's how much it will cost to increase for this year. But our rebates, really, we try really hard to offset that with the rebate, and every year we have been able to get one. So fingers crossed on that as well. So there is one additional cover proposal that the insurance committee wanted me to put in front of you. And just for reference, I'll just let you know our HSA, or our PHP, does cover a teledoc option, but it does require
A what?
a teledoc to call in and get a prescription or to get diagnosed through the internet. We do have that with PHP, but you do have to use your deductible and your health care for that. But there is another option that NFP wanted to present that includes a teledoc plan, but it is an additional $17,147.52. So that's up to you to decide on. It's not part of what we've done before, but if you'd like to add that to their plan, you can, but it's not required. But other than that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to take those.
Sounds good.
I didn't-
Have any?
No, Jen and I had this discussion offline. I get it. I was really encouraged at our increase. In fact, I've talked since our discussion. It's come up in conversation with a couple of other entities that are looking. One was looking at a 21% increase. I think another one was looking at like a 17% increase. So, I mean, the fact that we're at 3, it was super encouraging.
Yeah, it was a breath of fresh air for sure.
Looking across the board, it was.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So, do we need to? Do we need to
Do we make
the decision on
that other
the
part?
telehealth?
Yes.
Is that?
So I would say to approve or deny, whichever one you want, just the present package that we have, and then do another one. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do a motion on H. For
Okay.
Just that part.
So I would move to approve the employee insurance benefits for the 2024 plan year noting an increase of 83,228. Is there any cents on that? Or
64.
64 cents, as outlined by Jennifer.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then a motion on the other.
So are you gonna approve it?
Well,
Do you want
I
to
mean-
explain?
We can
a
have
little
a
more?
discussion.
How much does it cost the county?
Total cost would be
Do that.
$17,147.52, and it's a teledoc at no charge to the employee or member of the household for 24/7 access, phone call, video chat, or mobile app, diagnoses and prescription medications, not prescription medications, to prescribe medications. The prescriptions will be different. And for minor symptoms, if medically necessary, it also includes a health advocacy, which is a care coordination, understanding their tests, treatments, and medications to identify duplicate and incorrect charges and fee negotiations, and then also, which is so weird, a roadside assistance, because that goes hand in hand with insurance.
I thought that was AAA.
For towing coverage, I feel like I'm in a commercial. It's fine. Covering $80 per occurrence, battery jump starts for dead batteries, and locksmith repair. Anyway. I know.
Kind of like AAA included.
Kind of.
Kind of like
yes.
the medical version of AAA.
Correct.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, I think that's a worthwhile benefit.
Do you know if other organizations use it?
I don't.
Was curious.
Is there potential to decrease other usages elsewhere? With
The only
this
thing that I think that
usage?
it would offset possibly is the teledoc if people used it. Now, I don't want to sound ageist, but our younger employees would probably be more apt to use the teledoc option, whereas, I mean, people like me, I'll put myself in the old category. I wouldn't
Do we only pay
utilize
for it
that.
if we use it? I mean, it's up to 17, or it just flat costs us 17?
It flat costs us that, no matter if we use it or not. It's
For unlimited usage is
Pretty much.
17.
So every employee could use it though.
does not go towards your deductible. No.
Every employee could
use it
though.
if they have insurance through through us. Yeah, they could use
Is there a billed portion of the teledoc, or is it all inclusive?
It's all in, there's no charge at all. It's
For the
you pay
employees.
for it, but it does not go towards your PHP at all. It's something that's just
Well, if
completely
you're not paying,
separate.
then there's going to be no.
Correct.
But,
Is
but it's like, oh, should I go in and get antibiotics? Well,
But like I said, PHP does offer a teledoc option. You just pay for your deductible, but that goes towards everything too. So you kind of have to weigh your options on what's going to work for you. So it's not like we're taking something away from them. It's just an added benefit if it's something you feel like.
PHP already does something like
Correct, but you have to use your deductible for that.
How much does
Your
this
pre-
add? So the other is 3% increase. What does this add to our increase?
It adds an additional $17,000
I know,
to
but
that.
what would that be percentage-wise?
Oh, percentage? Ooh.
Just for
I
perspective.
should have added that. I don't know. That's a
Well, if
great
85
question.
88 was 3.2.
3.2, and then you add another 17. Let me look at our historical just to
In
see.
the
In
4
how
range.
many- This is,
But I wonder if there. It seems to me like, and I get the employee committee wanting to do the insurance committee.
And I'll
wanting
be
to do
honest, there
this.
was only one department that I got feedback from that said yes.
Well, no.
I'm
So
just-
I just wonder if this is something that would be a great thing to look at in the future with a little more. With you guys having a little more opportunity to say, well, you know what, Kane County uses this and they love it, or it was
That's
kind
fair.
of a snooze, you know what I mean, or some training, I mean, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't know that PHP offered the teledoc already, and it's not even that I would worry about paying for it.
True.
I didn't know it was an option, and so maybe
fair.
that would be an opportunity to get some training.
But you wouldn't
for
go
us
to your
as employees.
doctor. You would
call the number.
telecommunicate
Yeah,
on-
you'd call the number that's part of whatever this is, and
You get what you get.
You get what you get.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable voting yes right now until we
Yeah.
And that's fine. And like I say,
would
it's
say
it's
let's-
something that NFP every year kind of adds a couple of things here to see if
Trying to sell you on it a little
benefit.
bit.
Yeah.
Maybe you could ask around and see
Yeah,
if
you bet.
the other counties
And maybe
use
it's
that
something
at
we can
all.
consider next year if it's
Yeah.
something that's
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
I mean, it seems like a good thing, but I didn't know PHP offered the teledoc now. Like,
Yeah.
Well, with our budget, we're trying to kind of be conservative.
and that's what I
think
figured, and I
that
just
might
wanted
be
to make
something
sure
I
that
would
you kind
probably
of
vote
knew both sides of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we
So do we
even,
need to
do we need
have a
to,
motion
You can
for
just
that?
say that you opt out of that additional proposal.
Was it,
all right, can I, do I?
It's not part of the agenda.
We
Do
have
I
to
add
vote.
that to my other, add that to the original motion?
I would say you've already kind of covered that.
I think you have.
It
and
really
we can put in
wasn't
the
even
minutes
on
that,
here.
Yeah.
You know, no action was taken on the teledoc or
Okay.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
And that's fine.
Good.
Right on.
That way.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Don't have any boards.
These boards, we approved Paul Nelson last time for the water board, and
Yep.
that's the last one we did. I think that, I think we're good. Yeah. I think that, anything else we're missing, John? We good?
No, we've got the meeting tonight at 7. Rob's coming. I think we might want to spend a few minutes talking about what we want to talk about, or Mike, if you want to just give your usual spiel.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good venue, but I just, like I said,
The sound is
is
terrible.
going that way, and we can't hear hardly.
I've sung in a lot of concerts there, and the sound goes up. It doesn't go out.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So it's fine. I'm gonna go a little early and talk with the IT guys and Jason and see if we can get the sound a little more well
Better.
fixed this time.
Okay. All right. Well, I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.